Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Surreal Melbourne with myself, and
The
my
man.
the man, the myth, the legend, El Tupac. No, I use that for Austeros.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
I'm beating around the bush here. I've got my main man, Lickweed,
Yep.
DJ Lickweed, a purveyor of drum and bass, of electronic music, a heavy metal enthusiast, as we can see, Rage Against the Machine.
Yes.
Shem,
More than an enthusiast, it's who I am.
that's who you are. Yeah. The rage is real.
The rage is real. Yeah.
So I guess before we start to kick things off, why don't we just take an easy question
Yeah,
here and
sure.
just go with Lickweed. Is it because you like licking weed, or
Actually, you told me you're gonna ask that, and in the car I was kind of thought maybe I'd tell him not to ask that, but I'll answer because you asked. It's not very interesting. It's a very silly question. So basically, the name I used it for my very first gig. I think I was 18 or 19. I basically got put on the spot and got called like, oh yeah, we need this DJ. I think I like submitted a mix to someone who was looking for a mix for a party, and I got chosen. And they called me up and said, yeah, we'd like to have you on. What name do we put on the poster? And a little bit before that, I was kind of toying with some ideas, and Liquid came up. It's stupid, and I don't like it anymore. I was a big tripper, and I was a big stoner. That's all it is. It's like weed because I was a stoner. It's liquid acid because I was a big tripper. That's all it is. It's stupid. I actually feel in a way that now it doesn't represent me anymore, but some people like it. Some people really like it. Some people, like me, don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
I can
I can relate to that. I've gone through at least 4 name changes.
Yeah.
And every time you change your name, it sort of kills your rep a little bit because you've built this. You've built your name as a brand, as a household name, and then you're just completely pulling the push.
I'm not that fussed about anymore in most perspectives. Some perspective it does annoy me a bit, but because someone told me something which is really true is that at some point the like the person or the art, I guess, or supersedes the name.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. It doesn't. People don't even connect with the name as much, but they connect with what you do. You know what I mean. So I kind of feel like in a way I've got that. People kind of know what I do. They don't care about the name specifically.
Yeah.
In other ways, like for example, one way that I'm not happy about it is like if you want to tell someone, oh, you should check out my main Liquid. It's not as easy to know how to spell it properly. So then if you're gonna go to look it up, you might not find it easily. You know what I mean? Well, because if you say someone Liquid, they think it's like Liquid,
Okay.
and mine is Lickweed. So you might not find it as easily. And another thing is, this might be silly. I don't think it's true. But anyway, when I was doing the Red Bull freestyle competitions, I kind of thought maybe I'm not getting as much love because it's Red Bull and it's. My name has like a drug connotation to it. So it's like a mainstream sort of brand. So they may be kind of like holding back or something, but it's probably just in my head. It's probably
I think it's more in your head.
It's probably just in my head.
Because it like, first off for me, when I look at the name, I'm like, it feels like it has some sort of hip hop connotation or something like that. I don't know why. I think it's just because it's so easy and effortless to remember.
Okay.
And I think it's a good name in that sense. You know what I mean? Like, whereas sometimes I wonder, I'm like, when I tell people how I DJ, oh, what's your DJ name? And they're like, I'm like, Shantaram. I'm like, what? It's like an Indian name.
It is a little bit.
You know what I mean? So they're like, okay, it's not Western, it's not this, but Liquid has just an easy sense to it. But I can also understand your sort of apprehension around using that name for so long. You feel like you outgrow the shoes.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it's fine. I think now people who kind of know about me know about what I do. It's not the name. The name isn't the main thing anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, look, when did this? When did it start for you? When did you realize that hey, I'm gonna be a DJ? And were you always into turntablism, or that came a bit? By the way, he's a turntablist, just in case I should mention that. A damn good one.
I'm okay.
Okay. Yeah, he was just telling me that he had a crossfader, a practice crossfader. In his
I
hands.
do. It's in my bag. Like I just don't. I didn't want to bring it here because it'd be too noisy. But as far as DJing, I was actually trying to think about that, and I kind of realized that I've always had a passion for music. Like this is like my parents are both they're not musicians. They're not even like they like music. They're not, but they're very much they're all about books. Like they read so much. My mom's a literature teacher, been a literature teacher for 30 years, got like a master's in philosophy.
Wow.
And like they're very much into books. And I think they, felt a little bit bad that I don't read. Like it's not, I just don't enjoy it. I love listening to music. And growing up, like in my teens, there were just days where I would just listen, lie on my bed and listen to music. This is before getting stoned or anything. I was just there listening to music because I just loved like learning about it and like just, I guess, what's the word? Like absorbing so much like music. Anyway, I think growing up, we used to watch this show on TV in Israel called Zehuze. Zehuze means that's it. And it was like a comedy skit show. But anyway, on the show, they had these few different segments with this guy who came on and he would play, all this new music, this fresh music. And I later on realized that this guy was a very famous radio DJ. That was his job.
Yeah.
But growing up, I used to just watch him and go, this is the coolest job in the world. This person gets to listen to music, fresh music, and like introduce it to people. I thought that was the most amazing thing ever, and that's what I just wanted to do because I always had a passion for it. And I kind of like I kind of started DJing when I was I think 16, but I don't really count it until I was like 18. I'll tell you why. So I'm very much into rock and metal, and like we used to go to metal clubs when we were like underage. And I don't know if you've ever been to a metal club or anything like that, but
not quite. No. Well, here in Melbourne, yes.
Yeah.
Like as a cherry
but,
bar.
Yeah. Okay. But so have you seen DJs that play metal?
Yeah. Yes, I have at a Royal Melbourne Hotel.
Yeah.
It's
so
strange.
It's I wouldn't say it's strange. You're not really a DJ for me. It's more like you're like a selector. You're a jukebox basically. You play a song. You don't mix it. You let the song finish and play the next song. So we used to do that when I was 16. I used to do that at clubs for maybe a year or two.
So you actually worked in the club?
Yeah. We used to get booked to DJ among there's a few other DJs that did it, but yeah, we used to get booked to do that. And I don't really, I guess, count it as DJing because I guess I wasn't really mixing as much, but I like that passion of sharing music with people. That's kind of like where I got to do it. And I remember always going like, because I used to play with another person as well sometime, and you always kind of, not always, but a lot of the time you wanted to play like the famous songs, the famous hits. And I was like, if we play, 2 songs later in the same album, there's an amazing song people don't know, like we should do that.
Yeah.
That was always the thing I wanted to do. But as far as like actual DJing, I think when I was, I kind of got introduced to it again from heavy metal. Like, so I was very much a new metal kid, and bands like I guess Vacant Stir and Slipknot and even like Limp Bizkit.
I love Limp Bizkit.
And Incubus, like they all had this DJ, and like it just sounded so amazing to me. It was
as in part of their performance.
Yeah, like a scratch DJ. So
same like as Linkin Park and
I didn't get too much into Linkin Park, but the funny thing is like I didn't get as much into them. But on their album, they used to always have, I don't know if they do any like on the later albums, but on the first ones, they used to always have one track that was just the DJ, and that was always my favorite track. The first album's got I think it's called Mr. Han, and it's like Mr. Han, and like I fucking used to love that tune. And like their track that Executioners did with Linkin Park, like I love that shit. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I got into it. But for me, I just wanted to scratch. I didn't want to mix records. I wanted to play in the band. I wanted to play in the band as a scratch DJ. I saw it as its own instrument, and because by that point I was like playing guitar for like 6 years, and I kind of dropped it all to kind of pursue this scratching thing. I like saved up a bunch of money, got a pair of Vestax turnies and a really shitty Behringer mixer.
That was my first mixer.
I think it was a VMX 300. Three channels. Had some kills on the.
So it's a battle mixer essentially.
Oh, kind of. Yeah. I mean, it had a curve on the crossfader, which is good. It wasn't great, but it had a curve, and you gotta have that if you're gonna be scratching. And it cost me $100, but
that's a pretty good price. Yeah.
My mixer now is like $2,500. But
Pioneer, right?
Yeah. yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to do, and I never got to. Only later on, I got to kind of do some stuff in with a band, but I don't remember how exactly I got into the point where like I want to try to mix records, but this I don't think anybody knows this. Lickweed took a DJ course. Yeah, maybe no one knows this.
Really?
But yeah, I did. I took a DJ course
As
because
a scratching
no,
course?
no, it wasn't. No, no, this was my scratching. I picked off. If anybody is wanting to learn to scratch, go on YouTube and go Cubert DIY. So this is
Yeah.
Cubert did this DVD back in the day. This is before YouTube, so I just had to get the DVD back then. And yeah, it just shows you how to do the basic moves and everything. And that's how I taught myself to scratch. But no, I wanted to learn the mix, and I didn't know anyone who was doing it. And I knew of a really good techno DJ in Israel called Ori Lichtik, and he was a tutor. He was a tutor at this school, and I had a friend who I think he did that course, or he did that course in electronic music production course. Anyway, he recommended me. He goes to go see Ori. He's amazing. And yeah, I did that and kind of learned everything. And I remember going to the first lesson, and Ori was saying, he's got the decks in front of him. We're sitting in the class, and he goes and he says, "This is a musical instrument." And by that point, I'm playing guitar for 6 years, and I'm kind of like, whatever. That's not a fucking musical, whatever. And like, obviously, I've changed my mind through the course. I've obviously learned that these decks are a musical instrument, 100%. 100%. If you, I mean, you can do very basic things with them, but you can do very basic things with the guitar. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they can be an amazing musical instrument.
It's as much as you can push.
Yeah, it is.
And I admire that about people who've taken it like down that direction, because that was for me like the also an initial inspiration. But I bought turntables, and then there was no places to buy the records, and so I didn't understand that you can even get records. I mean, sure you could get records online, but at that point I was just like, wow. Because I kind of stole my dad's credit card to pay for my turntables. It wasn't exactly going to give me the credit card again to go buy records. And he had a bunch of old, like, I don't know if you know Paco de Lucia. It's like Spanish sort of flamenco kind of music. So my dad's into, he plays guitar and flamenco, and like Spanish
I
stuff.
started like with the first couple of years that I played guitar was Spanish guitar.
Yeah. So you used to do all the very crazy.
I did it for the first couple of years, but like I was very always into rock, and like after 2 years of doing that, I was kind of like, I want to play metal, like I want to play distortion guitar. So I went and got a new guitar teacher, and he played me how to like he taught me how to play distortion. I remember his claim to fame was that one time he was in somewhere LA or somewhere in America, and Sepultura were playing, and their guitar player broke his arm or something, and they needed a guitar player, and he was like, I know all the songs. So he went and auditioned, and he got accepted, but then just before the gig, the guitar player said that he can play, so he knew how to play.
It sucks because he could have had something there.
I know, but that was his claim to fame. I almost played live with Sepultura.
I could have been part of this big show, and
almost.
It must be really hard for like guitarists like that. Like there's so many good electric guitarists out there, but they're just under the radar,
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah.
So you're going to go see this electronic music, or he's a DJ, like tutor in a sense, and you've learned how to. Did he teach you how to scratch, or did he just teach you the basics of beat matching?
No,
mix?
so it was like everything from how to get your levels right, how EQs work, how filters work, how the effects work,
fundamentals.
Also obviously beat matching as well. We had I think 3 tutors. He was the main person, and then we had another guy, DJ Mesh, and he had like. At the time he was an assistant. I think now he's the main dude, DJ Pipe. Good, like shout out DJ Pipe in Israel if you don't know. Good fucking really good DJ. And they were kind of like the scratch guys, but we didn't have a lot of scratching in the course. I think that was like you can take a separate course if you want to just focus. That was they kind of touched on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, at that point I was already scratching at home, so like it was kind of handy, but I was already doing it. And then we had the third.
So it wasn't anything like necessarily new that they were teaching. You already knew how to do a bunch of the.
I think you know what the funny thing is, man. I find because like I teach now as well. Like I have students as well, and I find that the stuff that when you kind of go with a professional, it could be even very little things. They'll tell you, oh, do this or hold your hand this way instead. That, you know, when I was watching like the Qbert videos, it doesn't necessarily say, you know what I mean? He might say open the crossfade and release like this. But like it's kind of hard to show, but like when I started scratching, like if the crossfade is like this, I used to do this and you have to do that. You have to put your arm like this, not like that. You know what I mean?
So not like this, but from
like that, from the top. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
I was actually trying to do that yesterday,
and I was
like
doing
that.
I was doing it from the side, and no, it's like you don't do it like that. But no one told me, you know, there was no one there to show me until like, you know, those guys showed it to me in the class, and I was like, right, okay, and that like helped so much. Yeah, there's little things I find. I think that's why I wanted to take the course, because I'm one of those people who I find that I learn better when someone who knows kind of explains stuff to me.
I'm the same. Yeah.
So I did that, and then the third, there was another teacher. I forgot his name, but I remember like the funny thing about him. Everyone thought he was hilarious. That he had his headphones on like this. That's how he put his headphones on, and we were like, that's really weird. Anyway, but he taught us about, I guess, constructing a set and like energies and stuff. It kind of felt a little bit, you know, I don't know, a little bit hippie or something.
Esoteric, like a very, fluffiness.
Yeah, but you know what, man? Like that has helped me so much. And some of the stuff that he taught me is stuff that I don't even share with some people, because I'm like, I probably feel like people know it. They might not be aware of it a lot of the time, but it's because I'm aware of it. Like for me, I find like I can structure sets in a really way that like is cohesive. It's really helped me a lot. Yeah.
I can relate to that in terms of like a special skill. Sometimes I go, you know, for example, I don't have the, you know, amazing scratching skills that you have and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm really good at programming sets. Almost like this, I'm sure you have it as well. It's like the sixth sense of immediately knowing a time slot and a time of the day, the type of the crowd, and knowing exactly what kind of music or vibe will work in a sense.
I probably more now, but it comes with experience.
With experience, definitely.
Yeah. I didn't know, like, you know, when I started, it was a lot harder, and you had to be a lot more prepared, because you had to kind of more read the crowd and kind of have a lot more options. And sorry, I have that as well now, but I think because I'm got the more experience, I can kind of generally know in advance what's going to work, and most of the time it works. And I even still, I don't plan a set from A to B. I always have like options that I can kind of jump in between. I plan more than what I need to play, and then I can like pick according to the crowd. That's definitely something that comes with
experience.
With experience,
yeah,
for sure. But even still, man, like, you know,
I'm just gonna move this a bit closer.
Yeah, sure. Like even now, like we're playing Elements in a couple of weeks, like or next weekend, sorry, and I looked at the set times, and the first thing I do is I go on Google and I go, what time is the sunset over there? Because I'm going, is it going to be dark? Is it going to be like sunset? Is it going to be like during the day? Like I need to find out, because that changes the mood for sure. And then I go, who's playing before me? Who's playing after me? What am I coming off? What do I kind of lead into, sort of thing? Because I kind of like to consider that as well, because you know, you're going to know what's the energy level going to be when you start. It's very important.
The atmosphere.
100%. And that's things you have to consider a little, but it's kind of hard because you can't really teach it. You have to just kind of be there.
No, that's a feel.
Yeah,
a feel that comes with just doing it so many times that you kind of. I mean, you're creating an experience. You're creating that sort of space, and it's one of the things that like I don't think when I try to explain this to my parents, it's like, DJing is not just playing track A to track B, a track thing. You're not just creating a vibe. You're not just that. It's a multi-layered and multi-dimensional like thing that in a sense is. I mean, being in a band is a completely different atmosphere in its own, and it's got its own place. But DJing, it's like, you know, you've selected this music, you've hunted for it, or you some of it you might have produced your own, and you know, you're crafting this experience. You design. It's like I don't know what the word is, party design or emotional design. I don't know what
I think you are like, I guess designing the energy and the vibe of like the time slot that you've given. And like, I mean, I love doing it. Like this lockdown has kind of showed me how much I miss it. I think at the start, like I didn't feel it as bad because we were like, it was March, we were just coming off of kind of the festival
Esoteric,
season,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it was kind of like this is usually when things kind of wind down for a couple of months anyway before they kick up back off again. So I was kind of like, yeah, this is cool, whatever, you know. But then after a little while, I would have these days where I'm gonna go, I just miss that collective energy. I really miss that, you know what I mean? There's sections like this part where I kind of go, I feel like I can push this energy to people and get it back, and it is amazing. It's like the best feeling that I can get. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find that you know, over the years with your DJing, you've tried to, like, even as you're a party promoter, obviously, for Twisted Audio,
Yep.
one half of Twisted Audio, that same need to create that experience and design that energy and all of that has also emulated itself into the way you put on parties? Because I find that it's very, they're almost like, you know what, this is a bigger DJ set time now, except, you know, the tracks are the actual DJs that you book.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you see it like that? I see it like that.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit I do. Like, I think for me, like when I program, I guess like you know, parties, as in like who to put first and stuff like, because I do like the lineups for the events. The main thing for me is like I try to kind of put DJs on in a spot that kind of suits them, so they can play what they enjoy. So they don't have to go, oh, he's put me on super early, so I gotta play this, you know, really chill stuff that I'm not really into. I go, if you like to play heavy, I'll put you on later. You know what I mean? So you can enjoy. I don't have to put you on like, you know, I want to put you on in a time that works. So, and obviously that translates into the party, into the crowd. And yeah, if it comes to even stuff like, you know, the production that we're putting in, we kind of go like, oh, do we need lights or visuals or decor? What's the event? You know, what's the kind of crowd we're gonna have? Like, what's the vibe? And then we kind of pick, oh, we, you know, this crowd not gonna really care about, you know, flashy lights, but they're gonna like decor. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or these
yeah.
guys are not gonna care about, you know, lights, but they want my visuals or something. So it's kind of like what's more important and what can we, you know, what can we make it fit? Obviously, then what fits in the budget as well.
The goddamn budget.
Then budget. Yeah, Tey's the budget man. That's big ups to him.
Yeah, that was always a question I was going to ask you, but I'm gonna save that question for
When we have both of us, yeah.
when we have
Yeah, for
both
sure.
of you. So yeah, for future listeners out there, as I said earlier, Shem is part of Twisted Audio. It is one of the longest. Well, I don't know. Is it? Could you say it's one of the longest running drum and bass crews? Because
In Melbourne, I mean, we just had our 10-year thing in February. We're about almost 11 years now. I mean, I know this year we haven't done much as of March, but
not that you had a choice.
no, I didn't have a choice. I don't know. Like, I think like operatives just have their 16-year thing. So they're a little bit, you know, they're more than us. They're not only drum and bass, I guess.
Yeah, they encompass.
I don't know.
Garage,
I mean,
bass.
we've done almost 11 years. It's long enough, even not the longest. I don't know.
Yeah. And this is actually going to bring me to the next question. Is
Sure.
I'm not going to go into yourself in the promoting game yet, or talk about Twisted Audio. What I actually wanted to sort of go back to is a bit of go back into your past again and
Yeah,
say,
sure.
you know, so you're into metal. You're going to doing all these scratch courses. Were you scratching hip hop at the time? What was the genre that you were playing?
So when I very first started, I'm trying to remember what I was scratching. It's probably more like, yeah, over hip hop beats, over maybe some breakbeat records that I had as well. I think I was a lot of it at the very start. I was just trying to learn the moves. You know what I mean? The different moves, like the baby scratch, the transform, like how to do a crab, how to do a flare. That was at the very start. And then I got into beat juggling, and then that was kind of more kind of hip hop and funk sort of records as well. It's at the start I guess I was just trying to learn that, and when I got into mixing, that's the funny thing. A lot of people kind of, because now these days I do a lot of multi-genre sets with, I've got a lot of hip hop and funk and stuff into them, and kind of people have this idea that I was like a drum and bass DJ who went into that. It was the other way around. Like, I was kind of playing hip hop first, and I discovered drum and bass when I was 20. And I completely went off on that, and then it kind of went full circle, and I kind of came back because I just wanted to expand the stuff that I play, challenge myself a bit, and also get to play a different type of events, not just drum and bass events.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. I was for a long time, and I remember trying to like apply to, I think it was for Rainbow Serpent, and applying as a drum and bass DJ and never getting anywhere, and I eventually like applied as doing like a kind of glitchy and hip hop and funk set and got in. Like,
it was actually pretty quick, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Corey put in a word for me, so big ups Kodiak Kid for helping with that.
He's going to be on as well.
Yeah, sweet.
I think in January.
Yeah, I think he put in a word for me, which is good. And yeah, I've pretty much played it for years since, either solo or with Kudos. Like, yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Shout out to Kudos as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was
big love to Kudos.
Episode 2, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, it was second episode you had.
So there's a thread here again. I think I mentioned this with Dan. And, there's a thread that connects you, Kudos, and Dan all on the show. You're basically their DJ in a sense. Or how does that dynamic work? Because how do you see yourself? I don't want to.
Well, it's different. I mean, like between Dan and Kudos are very different.
They're two different beasts.
Well, yes, they are, but the show is very different as well. So, like when I played with Dan, I think there was only like a couple of times where I was kind of like, here's the set that we're doing, sort of thing, and he kind of told me the tracks, and we went from there.
So this is Dan. He's telling you like, this is what I want to play.
But with Dan, a lot of the time it would be like, this is my set, and you're jumping on. You know what I mean? Like, especially when it's drum and bass sets. Like, I'm playing the set, you're jumping on. Like, and like, I just trust in him because we've done it for so long, and he's been doing it for so long that I know that he's just gonna rock it, and he's gonna know when to come in and when to like shut up, and like he's gonna listen to me. It's very important. He'll tell you that as well. It's an important thing with drum and bass MCs is knowing when to shut up and when let the music do its thing.
Yeah. And then to drum and bass's detriment, there's a lot of MCs who just talk over everything.
Yeah, and it's funny, man.
Great MCs as well, but they I don't know. I think that when the hype is there and the crowd and they just want to be in the limelight, you know what I mean?
It's strange though. Like in Australia, we as far as drum and bass MCs, we like it, but in like little snippets,
little doses. Yeah.
Whereas you go to like the UK, it's all about the MCs. It is all about the MCs. Like, I'm not even joking. I remember going to Innovation in the Sun. It's like a festival in Barcelona. And me and my friend Jane, we went, and they have this big, like it goes for like a week. There's all these different events, and the main event is like it's in a pool. It's like in a water park, and it's like a party in a wave pool. It's fucking sick. Yeah. Anyway, and we're playing, and I think DJ has.
You got to play.
No. Sorry, I was like, we're in the pool.
Well, you're playing in the pool, yeah.
Yeah. We're playing in the pool.
Yeah.
And DJ Hazard is playing, and DJ Hazard is a big name for anybody who knows drum and bass. And there's like 4, 5, 6, 7 MCs or something.
Wow.
And they're passing the microphone to another. They're not shutting up. And they're telling him,
puff,
they're telling him, rewind, fucking pull up to all this stuff.
Pull up.
They're telling him what to do. And I'm like, this DJ Hazard, like this is really weird, but people are loving it. People are losing their mind. It's a very different scene. It's a lot about the MCs. But it depends on the style, I guess, and the style of the drum and bass you're going to. But in Australia, it's different anyway. So you do have to kind of know when to let the music do its thing. Otherwise,
Did you enjoy yourself though at that pool party where you're just like,
Yeah, I was partying. Like, we had a good time.
Yeah,
we had a great time. So with Dan, like he knows when to give it space, which is great. And man, if like you might see it at Elements next weekend, if you stand close enough to us, you might hear me kind of yelling, "Oh, there's vocals coming in," or not, like don't, or go now, sort of, because kind of like directing him. Like most of the time he'll just know what to do, but like if I'm gonna like drop a vocal tune, I just don't want him to go over the top of that. So I'm just gonna go up, just time to shut up, like sort of thing. Just to kind of let him know. But with Kudos, the set's very different because with Kudos, most of the time, besides like a couple of sets that we've done, it's his set.
It's his original music, yeah.
Yeah, most of the time. And even like with Dan, like we're doing some originals as well. But with Kudos, it's pretty much 100% originals. And so he, in a way, he controls the set, you know what I mean? Like I'll have my input and I go, oh, we should do this first on that, he might not go, nah, I want it this way because it works for me in whatever way. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, it's your set. It's a very different dynamic. I think kind of like what I like about working with him is that Kudos is very dedicated, like he's very serious, you know what I mean? And he's technically very good, like Dan as well. Dan took a long time at the start to become serious, You know what I mean?
To take himself seriously in a sense.
To take the set seriously. You know what I mean? Like then we'll you know, he'll confirm what I'm saying. For a long time, it was, you know, it was the party head. You know what I mean? And it took a few years for him to kind of go, if I want to be serious, I actually got to like calm down a little bit. And since then, you know, it's awesome. Like it's awesome to play with him, and like I like playing with him back then as well. But sometimes I would feel like tone it down. With Kudos, it was always like, because Kudos doesn't drink either, so it was kind of like, we're doing a set, we got to be pros. You know, which I like, because I'm very much like that. You know.
Yeah. You're a machine.
My friends call me a robot.
You're a robot. Yeah. No, it is a funny thing that me and Kudos were saying is that Shem is we've worked together as well in a kind of similar dynamic where I'm playing the tracks. We played in a 4-piece or 5-piece band with instruments, and I loved your sort of instantly. You're very, I don't want to say you're not rigid, that's for sure. You're definitely flexible enough to change and stuff like that, but you're precise in what you want and what you sort of communicate. And it's like some people are either intimidated by that or just kind of go, no, I'm the boss. And I'm like, I am definitely not that kind of person. I'm always about like, no, let's collaborate, and everyone's input is super important. And obviously I value your input a lot in that situation, because I'm like, well, you really use it like an instrument. You know, you use the decks like an instrument. I play other people's tracks and mix.
Yeah. Especially like with the stuff that we were doing, because I don't know if you remember, I was using, so I've got a
MIDI keyboard.
Yeah, so I've got a turntable that's a Vestax PDX 3000. For anybody who knows, it has a MIDI input. So I basically plug in the keyboard to that, and I control the speed of the platter by notes. So I can play tones and then kind of create a melody with it.
It actually controls the speed of the platter.
By notes, and then it changes the pitch accordingly, because the speed of the platter is the pitch of the sound.
The sound, yeah.
So you can do it by notes. So you can go incrementally up and down. So I guess like a lot of people, if let's say if they're, I don't know if they're an MC or they're a guitar player, like they've got like a guitar player, for example, he has everything right here. So if he knows his scales, everything, you just tell him this is the scale we're playing. He can just riff. He can just go.
Yeah, because there's a select few notes that fit within that scale, and whatever notes you play.
When I'm scratching and like, you know, you tell me, all right, this is what we're doing, just go. And I'm like, well, I need to find samples now. I need to like go and like find this thing that works and like try it out, and like doing it on the spot is like not always ideal. You know, so like that's why I kind of like to know this is what we're going to be doing, and that it just works that way basically.
And you have to find samples that are in the key of the tracks and stuff like that. So that definitely takes a lot of preparation. And that's the thing. Like you're obviously playing with Dan and Kudos, and there's a fair level of preparation that has to go. And I guess with both of them, I mean, who picks, like say with Dan? You were saying this before, like, is it sort of his selection of drum and bass, or is it sort of even like, you know,
when we're doing drum and bass sets?
Yeah. So, for example, let's take Elements. That's coming up next weekend. Is it you guys are performing together, or is it Dan showcasing his music, or is it sort of like how have you guys like sort of done that? Because there's a balance of not only the music, but you know, there's a balance of egos in a sense as well.
I mean,
you know?
we don't have like we don't have to balance much egos, man. Me and Dan have known each other for a long time, and like we're both very chill. But
and you're a crew, I guess. Dan is your Twisted Audio's official rep as well.
Yeah, for a long time now, and. With Elements, like we applied to play separately, and they asked us, and they said, "Would you like to play a set together?" And we're like, we then just hit me up. I was like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Yeah, fuck it, let's do it." Like we've done it so many times, and basically when we were building the set, I just asked him, because you know he's got a bunch of original music, and I kind of said like, which of your tracks would you like to put in? It's like, yeah, these 4 or these 5, and I was like, okay, cool. So I basically. Like the first thing I did when I was starting to work on the set was take all those tracks, chuck them in a crate. Like these ones are definitely going in.
Yeah.
So and then I like build the set around them. So and I'll try to like space them out a little bit. So it's not like here's Dan sets and then here's my set. You know what I mean? Kind of put them in every 10, 15 minutes. So kind of like we can do these originals. But the rest I definitely like put together myself.
And so what will Dan, like in that situation where there's not original, will he just freestyle over the top of them?
Yeah, and Dan has got so many bars, and like I said, he knows when to come in, he knows when to shut up, and we play together so many times, so I can just tell him now or don't go now, and he'll just he'll be fine. Like, and it's like we are rehearsing. He's coming over tomorrow to rehearse. You know what I mean? So he will kind of hear what I'm kind of going, what I'm planning, so he will have an idea. And he'll do his rehearsing at home as well. So he'll rehearse his tracks that he knows he wants to do, his verses. So, and I rehearse some myself as well. So we both kind of do it separately. Then we meet up a couple of times, go over it, and then bam, do the festival. Yeah. With Kudos, it's harder though. With Kudos, it's because it's
his own music.
It's his own music as well. And the thing with Kudos is that when he approached me to play the set, I think it was probably hard for him at the start.
To ask in a sense.
No, not as much that. Like we were housemates. We lived across the hall from each other. You know what I mean? I would hear him practice all the time. He would hear me practice all the time. So that wasn't the issue.
That's a cool house.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. I think what he kind of didn't like at the start maybe is that in his head he kind of thought, I'm giving you the tracks, you play the track, I go over the top, and you might do some scratching. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that person who just stands there while you rap. You know what I mean? If you want me to be a part of this show, I'm going to be a part of the show. So what we've done over time, we've been playing for 3-4 years now. Maybe more. I don't remember. Probably more. And what we've done is we've kind of picked up tracks that we want to do, and I'll go, all right, this beat, super basic, it just repeats itself. I'm going to juggle the whole time, and I'm just going to juggle this beat, or this beat has got a guitar riff. I can play the guitar riff live. So we'll just get the stem, and I'll play it live. And I'm I want to be a part of this set. I want to play something live here. Sometimes it'll be as simple as kind of looping or just scratching over some sections, but I think it was hard for him at the start to kind of go, oh, this is going to be a bit annoying. I just want him to play the track and let me do my thing. And I'm like, nah, I don't want to stand there. And now it works amazing. It works so good, and we get a lot of compliments on the show. And there's even a section in the middle where he'll take a break and I'll do a 2-minute routine.
I've seen that, and it's so awesome.
And I've kind of pushed for it at the start, but then he said it's actually really good because it gives him 2 minutes to kind of take a breath and relax.
Take a breath,
yeah. And it obviously works for me because I kind of get to showcase some of my own stuff.
And your skills as well, and and also rep the actual art form.
The art form
of turntablism. In a sense.
You mean represent the art form? Yeah,
represent the art form. I thought you
were rap as in hip hop. Okay, represent. Yeah. I think there was someone. I forgot who it was. We did this show in Brisbane a few years ago, and someone did a review on it, and I had to listen to it later on SoundCloud on the review, and they were saying that, me and Kudos, we don't look or dress very hip hop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't but
what is that supposed to mean? Huh?
We don't have bandanas or these baggy pants or anything. I don't even know how hip hop heads dressed. But anyway, they just said I forgot what the name the phrase they used, but they said they just love the art form. You know what I mean? They're just so much into the art form, so it doesn't look as obvious that this is what they're going to do, but then they go and they slay it, and you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's something that, I think we're both passionate about that, about the art form, basically.
Yeah. And Kudos is scratching now.
I know. He's got my old turntable. I sold him.
Oh, yeah. And he played me a bit of a scratch. He's actually getting really good.
Yeah, he is. I went to his house the other day and we had a bit of a jam. He is getting good, but you know what? I went and saw him, and I just told him a couple of things about hand
just a little nuances,
hand positioning and stuff like that no one says, no one tells you. And I told him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, cool. This makes sense." You know what I mean? And I was like, that's why it's good to do it with someone who has been doing it for a while. Man, I took a couple of lessons. Maybe not even that long ago, 4 years ago, with B2. Shout out to B2, man. He's 3 times Australian DMC champion. I went and did a couple of lessons with him. And he just, I even remember him telling me, I used to scratch like this. And he was like, do that. You know what I mean? And it
So what your hands was?
Yeah, my hand, like my elbow was up here for a long time. You know what I mean? And you just go like that, and it.
So
And
you're almost at a right angle to your body in a sense.
Yeah.
So you're not really applying that much force onto the turntable. Is that
I
the
guess
idea?
I guess not enough force. Yeah, because now it's like it's kind of coming from here, from my elbow, and a lot of
As
times
opposed to
I don't know. I think my shoulder. It's coming from my shoulder probably.
yeah, and you're probably getting sore as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like they will do this as well. To do it from their, just from here and or like from the wrist, and it's like that. You know what I mean?
You're actually supposed to use the hand
Yeah,
itself.
the arm.
And this, I'm guessing the arm and the hand is stationary in a sense. Not stationary, but it's just.
It depends on the move you're doing, but a lot of times, yes. A lot of times, yes. If you're doing like, flares or babies and stuff, yeah, if you're doing drags, it kind of like has a bit more kind of a flow to it. The arm moves are kind of like tears. You have to go like that, So yeah, it depends, but but it does come from here. Anyway, my point was that someone who's been doing it for a long time can tell you some things that you wouldn't have thought about before.
Yeah.
And it just changes the whole way of you doing stuff.
Man,
Yeah.
I can so relate to that. Like I was hanging out with I have a friend of mine, Koskin. Shout out to Koskin, Joshkins Koskin, wizard man, was a different producer,
Yeah.
and we're writing a techno track together. And so we've sort of decided. I have a lot of ideas, and I have a strong idea of how I want this track to sound like and stuff like that. But there's a lot of little production things that I struggle with sometimes with a little bit of arrangement, something called call and response, and then anyways. So I go to him last week, and we go into the studio and stuff, and I show him my kick and my bass, and it's a good kick and bass. I mean, we designed the techno kick is the bass at the same time, if that makes sense. So it's called a rumble kick.
Yep.
So there's delay and distortion and reverb on the kick. So you sort of, that tail end of it will make the bass. So anyways, I've got an Ableton's, like an auto filter on. And he's like, when you're not using this auto filter, it needs to be turned off. Do you know what happens? He's like, you get phasing. It's just like this little thing. Never do that. Always make sure it's shut. Just like little things like that. And I was just like, because when I sit there producing and I'm like, I feel like my ears are struggling to hear the kick and the bass, whether it's like you can hear the phasing, like the kick and bass is going in and out of each other. And it's just like little things like that. Like little nuances like that, just kind of
that someone knows and can just point you, but no one says, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not in any tutorial or anything.
He was same thing. He was saying to me, like, he went and did this Deanox and Becker's masterclass. And I don't know if you know Deanox.
I know, yeah, of course.
And he was like, look, it's not like I learned a lot in the course for someone like him he's pretty good as it is. But he was like, the biggest thing that I learned from their course is use less channels to make your track.
Okay.
Use less instruments, but you make those sounds very good to begin with. You know what I mean? Whereas when I write a track, there'll be 100 channels there, and I will process the shit out of the sound because my mentality is, the more I put effects on it, the more I'm going to make it sound more unique and stuff.
Yeah, but it's a trap, man. You can get sucked in and like over fucking, analyze stuff and overproduce stuff.
Yeah, overproduce, overcompensate.
Yeah,
so
100%.
And I really didn't take that seriously when other producers had told me, like, make the sound good from scratch. And now, now that's like, okay, I learned the hard way, and we sat there, we fixed all of these little mistakes, and I'm just like, fuck, this thing sounds amazing. Like, this is ready for a release. And I'm like, cool, this is going to be the second release for us.
Yeah, nice. Cool. Awesome.
But I've had those sort of mentors or like just people who've come across in your life and just like dropped snippets of wisdom, and your knowledge has just expanded, and it's like
100%.
I don't take them for granted, man.
No, not at all. And I like that a lot of them. I like the ones who are humble about it as well. There's a lot of people who are like very good but not humble, and it's hard to get any info and kind of any conversation with.
Yeah, like they don't want to share.
No,
I just don't get that. I've had a lot of like people like that. I'm just like, but at the same time, Melbourne is so amazing in a sense where just people are always just down to, kick it. You know what I mean? Like creatively kick it together and just share.
I remember, I don't even remember who this DJ was. Years and years ago, I did this gig in Geelong, and it was kind of like this uni gig was going off, and this guy was playing, I think before me. And he played this one tune, I forgot what it was. It was fucking going off, and he was using Serato, and I went behind him. I was like, "Oh, what's this tune?" And like he there's this shortcut keyboard on the keyboard in Serato that you press, and it blanks the names of the tunes. So I just pressed it, and I was like, God damn it!
God damn.
What the hell? Like, it's not like it's your tune. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Where like the whole art form is about sharing. It's about sharing music and sharing the knowledge. Like, that's what it's about, man.
I've been a bit protective before of my music, but I've decided to just over the years I'm like whatever. I even give it here's my hard drive, copy everything.
I think like in a way, man, if especially these days, dude, like music is so easy to get. Like, you don't have to go hunting for white labels or anything like that. Like everything's online. Like, sure, you might be like subscribed to some, mailing lists, or you might know some producers who will send you stuff early on before it gets released. Sure. But then in a couple of weeks it's out and then everyone can get it. So my point is like if your sets or you being really good is depending on like you having these fresh tracks that no one has, that doesn't last. You know what I mean? You have to be able to kind of go, I'm giving it my touch. This is like how I mix it, and like the part the section of that I've selected from it, or what I do with it, that kind of goes, gives me my edge over other people. And that's why you need to remember, like, I don't know, this is just obviously just my opinion. Other people might think differently, but I think that it's about what you do with this instrument that sets you apart, and not just the tracks you pick. That's just me. I mean, different styles, different DJs might think differently. So feel free to disagree with me. That's my point.
Yeah, you're not gonna change who you are, though.
It's not changed. I'm very, very passionate about this instrument, and again, I feel like this is an instrument, and like it needs to like that's how I express myself, and I think that's why I kind of do okay with this. I'm able to kind of get paid a little bit better, to get a bit more gigs, like, because I know this. I'm kind of trying
a step further.
I'm trying to like set myself apart in that way. You know what I mean? There's a lot of really good DJs out there, and there's a lot of good music out there, and everyone has access to it. So how are you going to set yourself apart? It's very important. Very important.
You're saying, in a sense, it's the way you play is and the way you express yourself.
100%, man. Like, I mean, anyone can go to Beatport and get the freshest, fucking, techno or drum and bass, top 100 or whatever, and smash a set. Anyone can do that. Like, you know what I mean? It's how you build a set. It's how you manipulate the music. It's how you showcase your skill, how you perform. There's a lot more,
and even how you manipulate the crowd in a good way.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
So I mean, look. So you're 20 years old here, and you get into drum and bass, right?
Yeah.
At one point, did you? I know was it 2008 that you guys set up Twisted Audio?
10.
I always get confused. Yeah, 10. Yeah, that's right. I know this because that was the first time I ever put on a party as well.
Oh, right. Okay.
I think 2000. I think we started at the same time, but
we started February 2010.
I think for us was maybe March, and it was a charity gig.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, and funny enough, like I before I met you and Tey, before like even knowing like drum and bass gigs, I went to a few of your gigs and didn't really like know much about drum and bass, even though like right now I'm playing like after you, and I'm playing it, and even now I'm like, someone asks me questions like, oh yeah, drum and bass. I'm like, I actually don't know anything about it. I just know what kind of drum and bass I like, and that's the style that I really like listening to, and that's what I want to play.
Yeah, I'm kind of like the same in hip hop, man. Like I will be the first to admit I'm not a hip hop head. Like I like hip hop.
I am too. I have to say, like
I enjoy hip hop. Don't get me wrong. I do. I've seen many bands and like many artists that I love, but I don't know that much. Like I've got the stuff a lot later. I've kind of when I started, for example, the artist I was into was like Cypress Hill and Eminem, because they were heavy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I come from metal. I come from like heavy music. So to me, that was the main attraction. And then I kind of got, into Dr. Dre and Snoop and fucking Wu-Tang and
G-Funk,
and all of that. And but anyway, with like drum and bass, I guess like I get music regularly every week. Like I'll get like a gig of music, I know like a lot about it, I guess. So yeah.
So how did that happen? How did the actual transition happen? Like, where was the very first point that you actually heard drum and bass?
I got taken to a rave
in Melbourne, or
no, this is in Israel. I was 20, I think. maybe 19, maybe probably 20. And yeah, my friend just took us to a rave and was like in this. You kind of go between these alleyways, it's like this industrial area, and it's just like outside in like this like parking lot. And yeah, we're on the way there, and he said, "Oh, we're going to drum and bass rave," and I was like, "What the fuck's drum and bass?" And he's like, "Oh, it's all like Prodigy." I was like, "Sweet, I like Prodigy."
Yeah.
So, and at that point, like that was. Oh, it wasn't the only electronic music. I think by that point I got into psytrance. I'm from Israel, man. So I'm not into it anymore, just so everybody knows. But I got, so I was listening to a bit of electronic music at the time. And yeah, we just went to a rave and I heard drum and bass, so just DJs playing drum and bass there. And I absolutely loved the music. But I think what pulled me even more than the music is that, again, so by that point, like, you know, I've been a metalhead for years and I was already into hip hop and I was getting into psytrance. So I used to go to all these different like events. I used to go to like, you know, metal clubs and metal gigs, and I used to go to doofs and some hip hop and R&B events. And what always kind of struck me was a bit weird is that I could see a lot of people that I know or some of the same people at different events dressed differently.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Culturally, they dress towards the culture.
Yeah. Like you would go to a hip hop gig with like a bandana and like, you know, some hip hop jersey, but then you go to a metal gig with like these ripped black shirts and stuff.
It's the same people.
Same people, yeah. And you would go to like, you know, like a psytrance doof with, you know, like all colors and just looking all hippie.
Like very floral and
yeah. And when I went to drum and bass, like the drum and bass raves, I would go and see like hip hop heads. I would see punks, and I would see like, you know, these hippies, and I would see metalheads. And I would like, this is super organic. This is like this.
So you're getting a mixture of these people.
It's not. You're getting a mixture, but my point was it's organic in a way that these people come to listen to the music. They're not there to be seen. They're not there for flashy lights or anything. They're like, this is who we are. We dress how we dress because this is who we are outside of here. But we don't dress because we're going to a drum and bass gig. We just dress as who we are because we know it's a pure thing. And this, like, drum and bass for me, the community is the biggest thing that like...
The pull, yeah.
The biggest thing ever. Like, that has saved me. Has changed my life in so many ways, man. Like, it's the biggest thing. And that's like one of the reasons I actually wanted to put on events or be involved in it, because I just felt like I need to give back. Like, this is everywhere I've been in the world, if it's New Zealand or the UK or Europe, anywhere, drum and bass, I would go to gigs on my own and people would be super friendly and just nice. You know, it could be the drugs, I don't know. But like, they were really nice. People were like always really friendly and welcoming. Go, oh, you're here because it's underground music. You know what I mean? So like, if you're here, clearly you're into this culture, you're into this music. So we're going to be very welcoming and supportive.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, that's my biggest take from drum and bass. I absolutely love that about it. And I love that it's underground after all this. I'm sure there've been like big artists who kind of broke into mainstream. Like there's been quite a few.
It's still relatively the more out of like all the genres that you listed, you know, from rock and hip hop to psytrance. It's probably the most underground out of all of them.
Yeah,
still,
100%.
You know, and it's also one of the like bass music is one of the attraction for me to play that music as well, as it feels more underground. Like psytrance, when I got into it, I was like very drawn to, you know, that it was, you know, the trance was mainstream. You know, like Armin van Buuren trance, which I used to, you know, play and listen.
In Israel, we'd call that club trance. It was like, because psytrance in Israel is trance, and like trance, what you call it is club trance in Israel.
Club trance, yeah.
That's always to call
it. And it makes sense, you know, like, because that's where you'd play the clubs and arenas. So where in all of this, you know, obviously we're talking about these experiences that for the most part, they seem to be like they're in Israel.
Yeah.
How did you come to Melbourne? Like, how did you actually end up here in the first place? What was the...
So in 2005, I came here, this before I moved here. I came here as a backpacker. I was just backpacking. But before that, I kind of...
2005.
2005, yeah.
Yeah.
Before that, I already knew, I think about like 19. I don't know if this is a thing that, you know, kids growing up in other places go through, but there's a lot of kind of like, I don't know if pressure, but it's a thing kind of normal. What am I going to do with your life? You know what I mean? Like, where are you going to go? Like, because, you know, we're at 18, we joined the army. You know, we're there for 3 years and you're kind of like supposed to know at the end where you're going to go and study. You finish, you go study sort of thing.
And you had to join the army as well.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely. Anyway, so about 19, I think like I was kind of struggling with this question, like what I want to do, where do you want to, pursue, sort of thing. I knew I loved DJing. I knew I loved it, and in a sense, maybe it was the wrong choice to kind of go, but I kind of said, I don't think like realistically getting a career as a DJ is something that I should pursue, because it can be really hard and very like not easy to get, sort of thing. I forgot the word I was going to come for, but so I kind of said, all right, cool, I love music, I want to do something with with music, with audio engineering, or so I kind of said, all right, I'm going to go and study that, and like how to work on production and music. And so I wanted to study that, and I looked at schools. I looked at SAE, and which was one of the bigger ones, obviously. And I knew there was a few in Australia. I knew there was some in other places in the world. And when I came here in 2005, I went to check out the school in Melbourne, went to the one in Sydney, the one in Byron. I went to the one in London after that as well. I did like a big overseas trip when I was 23, like for a whole year. So yeah, I was backpacking in Australia, and I checked out the schools, and I just remember I really liked the Byron campus, but I really liked the city of Melbourne. I remember I thought I can actually live here. It'd be easier to get work than Byron. It's really cool. And I did that. I came back after my 1 year trip. I came back to Israel, and I knew like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to go and study in Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent that year in Israel. Actually, no, I came back and then I left. I went to the UK for like 6 months to work and save money to come here.
And were you going to drum and bass gigs there?
Yeah. You know what the funny thing is, man? Like I went there and I worked with. We did a dodgy thing. There's this thing Israelis do. I don't know if you've gone to like shopping centers, you see like all these carts of people selling like cosmetics, all this stuff.
Yes, and I have a friend who tried to get me to sell them for
So I did that in the UK. So basically, I went and got like a fake, not fake. It was a real like student visa, but I never went to school. I just worked there for 6 months. Like I hated almost all the time I was there, because I just hated the job, but I needed the money. I was making the money I made in 6 months there would have taken me a year and a half to do in Israel, basically. And I saved up to go to school. But yeah, in the UK, I used to go, like I got there and I was working with Israelis, and they were all into psytrance, and we were living in Bristol. And I was like, this is like Mecca for drum and bass.
Drum and bass, yeah.
And no one wanted to go. So I was like, I'm just going on my own. Like I went on my own. I remember one night I went and we paid 10 quid, and it was DJ Markey, Ronnie Size, and then NDC. And I was like, in the one night, one bam into the other, I was just losing my mind. I had a list before I got to Bristol, because I knew that's where I was going to be based at the start. I went to forums. This is before Facebook, kids. I used to go into forums online and go like, all right, this is the parties that are going to happen in Bristol. And I had a list. I came to the UK with a list of parties that I'm going to go to.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So I did that, and I guess saved some money. Went back to Israel for a bit. Got the visa sorted, my student visa to come to here, and came to Melbourne 2007, late 2007, like September I think it was, and studied at SAE for a year.
And did you have to work during this entire time, like to pay for the tuitions? Because that would have been 20.
So at the time in 2007, it was $13,000 for overseas students to do the course there.
Per year or per semester?
Per year.
Yeah.
And this was the 1 year before SAE got accredited to like give proper degrees. So before there was diplomas.
Mm-hmm.
And during that year that I was there, so I basically I had to pay the first year in advance. So that's what I saved in the UK. I paid that. I think my parents gave me a little bit of money as well to support that. And during the first year I just worked. I was bartending, and I saved up. I was like, I gotta get another 13 because that's gonna be the second year. So I saved 13 grand, and then at the end of the year they got accredited to give degrees, and it got bumped to 20 grand. And I said, I don't have an extra $7,000. Like I don't know what to do. So I ended up like leaving there because I couldn't afford it, and also I was after a year I was already in the frame of mind that I think I want to stay here. I wasn't 100% sure before. I kind of thought I would, but after a year I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try and stay. And I went and saw a lawyer and kind of said, all right, this is what I've been studying. This is my situation. What do you reckon as far as me applying to kind of be as a skilled migrant? And he kind of said, look, if you're going to continue to study audio engineering, you've got no chance. Basically, this isn't a wanted a skill here. It's not on the list. Like you won't get it's no chance. But he suggested I go and study electronics engineering, and he said that you can kind of link those two kind of courses together to kind of see that show it as kind of studying the one skill, and I ended up doing that for a year. Just after that applied to get my PR, and we were talking about PR the other day, and 18 months later I got it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're still in a sense like working now with electronics and stuff like that. And I guess it's 100%. Like you do enjoy that aspect of your job.
Because I do. I mean, even when I was like in the army, man, like I was in communications. I was the guy with the radio. I was the guy fixing the radios and stuff like that. That was my thing, because I don't know. I guess I was kind of growing up being a bit of a computer nerd. I wasn't that much into games and stuff. I was a bit of a computer nerd. And so electronics was something I was kind of into, And with my job now, and even with the putting on events and working at festivals, I do stage teching and stage managing. So it's something that you kind of need to know signal flow, and it definitely helps. Definitely helped me.
So at what point did you meet Tey? Tey's his business partner, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Tey and me run Twisted Audio. Man, like big ups to Tey. Like Tey, at the end of the day, now I'll Twisted Audio is a lot of him. Like at the start, it was kind of both, and over the years, it has like kind of drawn more into him because I have got my foot into other stuff. But how I met him, he was a student. So after me studying for a year at SAE, I got offered a job there. So I was working. I was one of the techies, basically. So I was like a supervisor, they're called. So, we were in charge of like hiring the gear to the students, and we would like install all the new equipment in the studios and maintain that and fix stuff. And which again, I really liked. It was again, a lot of electronics, a lot of soldering and a lot of stuff like that. And so he was a student there. And I think we just got to talk about music and drum and bass. And he told me that, he's originally from Perth, and he's looking to put on some drum and bass events, but he doesn't really know anyone in Melbourne. And, we kind of said, yeah, cool, I can probably help you. And it took a few months, and eventually he said, yeah, I'm putting on my first party. And he said, still looking for some people to play, blah, blah, blah. And like, can you recommend some people? And I did. I was very involved with the sub-bass crew at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And so I recommended some people from there. And we did the first party, which was Aphrodite at Brown Alley. And after that, I remember Tey calling me and just said, yeah, this is it. We're going to do this together from now, basically, because I was very, I guess, organized and helpful.
Yes, very organized.
That's kind of how we met. Yeah, I think we just both have the passion for the music and that culture. Yeah. So it works. Yeah.
And the collaboration works.
That was something that was very important to me. I think at the time, because I was involved with the sub-bass crew, but we were doing gigs here and there, a lot of illegal parties and some club parties as well, all local stuff. And I knew a lot of DJs who I was playing with and seeing at those events, and a lot of them, what I was hearing is that they were struggling to kind of break through into the other bigger shows. You know what I mean? They were like not sure who to talk to, or like, they wouldn't see a lot of those people at events, so they were like, they're not sure how to do it. And that was something that was always very important to me, and that is still important to me, to this day, is giving people opportunities. You know what I mean? Like pay it forward.
Pay it forward, absolutely. Yeah.
I struggled with that when I came into Melbourne, like when I wanted to get gigs. Like I probably, now looking at it back, it's probably a very silly thing that didn't help me at all. I went out to clubs and gave out CDs. They probably all ended up in the bin. You know what I mean? No one would listen to them. But I didn't know. I couldn't, like, I didn't know anyone. I was new here. I was like, I'm trying to think, like, I think I'm good enough to kind of play, even if not like a main slot or anything. I just want to get my foot in the door. So when I got the opportunity to, like, book people, again, I was like, this is something I have to do. Like I have to do, because I know a lot of people struggle with the same thing, and it's my way to pay pay forward and give back to this culture.
And you have when you have that skill set as well. You know what I mean? Like you, first off, you're willing to take the risk, but you're also organized enough to say, you know what, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm just gonna, put a lineup together and put a party and bring these people together. Not everyone's cut out for that. Yeah. Although it does feel like nowadays that to be sort of successful as a DJ, you should put on your own parties as a start. Like sometimes you don't get booked, and so it's like, well, if the platform for you isn't there to express yourself, this is what I tell like new DJs is like,
go make the platform.
Go make the platform.
Yeah. So with Twisted, man, that this wasn't the first parties I put on. I was already putting on parties for 2 years back then. So in 2008, I want to say, I think late 2008, or maybe 2007. It could have been 2007. I went to the Loop Bar, Loop Bar?
Yeah.
So
talking about it with Matt Azran in one of the other podcasts.
So he, sorry, I'm good, thanks. They put up a flyer at SAE. They were saying they were looking for volunteers to come and help with this like mini festival that they had. It was called something like Tundra or something. I forgot. It was like a kind of trippy, kind of audio visual sort of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I said, I'd volunteer because I just wanted to kind of, get my foot in the door, meet some people, do some stuff. And all we did was kind of like, carry the band's equipment and stuff, help them set up. But I got to talking to the lady who was the booking manager, and we just kind of hit it off. And she told me that she was looking for someone to do a Christmas Eve party. So like she had the day off, the day free, and she kind of needed someone to do a party. I was like, yep, for sure, I'll do it. So I booked a little lineup with some guys that I knew from SAE that I was, studying with me. And no one came. And it was like, we had a little party. There's probably like 20 people there. It was definitely a flop. And she was nice enough to give me another shot. And we did another party and it went off. And we ended up doing a monthly there for 4 years. After that,
what was the name of the gigs?
Pickled Beats.
Pickle.
I didn't come up with the name.
Yeah,
but
this wasn't with Tey, right?
No, this is before Tey.
Yeah.
This is a couple of other guys, 2 Israeli guys, and another friend. His name was Zander.
That's why it was pickled, isn't it? Because it's much like Arabs as well. You like your pickled turnips and beetroots.
I think Zander came up with the name. I don't remember why we decided on Pickled Beats.
We're gonna just 1 second.
I gotta give a beer.
Yeah, we're gonna invite our main man Blay into the shot here. For those who don't know, the myth, the man, the myth, the legend. Come here, son.
Here you can get
Cheers,
a beer.
baby.
Cheers, baby. You say hello to
Pleasure
the.
to have you here, Shem. Pleasure.
No worries, man. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, boys. Let's
You
go.
say hello to the camera. You wanna say, yo, what's up? So your friend Xander.
Yeah, so he came up with the name. And it was kind of for those of you who know Loop Bar, it's a lot of like after work kind of people, you know what I mean? After work drinks.
It's in the heart of the
Yeah,
city.
it's in the heart of the city. So we'd kind of play a lot of, kind of party hip hop sort of stuff, and bit of kind of funky breaks, kind of like all these remixes and stuff. And I used to do that as well. But then as time progressed, I would get the other guys, they were very more passionate about that stuff. So they would go and do that stuff, and I would put myself on later so I can play like a bit heavier, and I could play drum and bass at the end. And so that was, I think that started 2008, I want to say. And then halfway into that 2010, we started, me and Tey met, and we started doing Twisted Audio. And we also had a monthly very quickly. After a few gigs, we got a monthly at Miss Libs. And for about 2 years there, I had 2 monthlies that I was running. And after 2 years of that, I remember I just emailed Loop Bar and I said, like, I'm really sorry, but Twisted Audio is going off. Like, it's really taking off, and I don't feel like I can, it wouldn't be, I can't commit. I can't give my energy to this. It's not right for me to, get the money that, split the money with all the other guys, because I can't put as much work anymore.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have to leave, basically. And they said, sorry to see you go and everything. And I just continued on with Twisted, and I think within a few months, that other gig stopped as well.
Yeah.
So
Kind of says a lot, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
you had a big part to do with it.
Who knows? Who knows? But like
knows? Yeah.
it stopped, and I just continued with Twisted. Yeah, and been going ever since. 10 years now. Yeah, it feels really weird. I mean, we had our 10th anniversary in February.
Yeah.
Did you come? Were you there?
Hell yes.
Yeah.
That was fucking so good,
There were
man.
so many good people.
Yeah.
Like it was just amazing. I don't party anymore, man. I'm old. Like I don't go. I don't go to kick-ons or anything like that. But we went after that. We went to my mate's place, and I was up till 9 a.m. And like I don't do that anymore. And like they all went to bed, and she was like, she's usually the party one. And, I'm usually the one who goes to bed. And she was like, "You were up to 9." I was like, "Yeah." I just had so much energy from seeing all these people that I haven't seen together in a room. You know?
It was a sellout gig. It was, man, I have to say, for me, K-Lab stole the show that night.
He always does, dude, man. Caleb's the man. Shout out Caleb. Man.
And I didn't actually, like, I knew who he was, and I never actually saw a set of his. And he was playing heaps of G-Funk, like, remixes. And I'm like, man, you had me at G.
He's the man, and like the stage show is phenomenal.
He's phenomenal.
He's phenomenal. 100%.
I have to say, man, that that was one of the best club nights that I've been to in a while. Every room, like I was there till like the very end, to the very, very end, and I remember bumping into Tey a few times, and just like. Tey's all lovey-dovey and it's like, giving him a big hug and it's like, yeah, so proud of you, man. And he's just so happy, like, you know what I mean? Like this you can feel.
I was running around, man, but that's kind of what happens. Like Tey is the host. Tey definitely is the host. Like, not to take anything away, he's been doing more and more like technical stuff as well. But I'm the guy who's running around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're making sure the stage man. But that's the thing. You play to your strengths, and the host.
100%.
The host,
And I think that's why it works. Tey's good at that. Tey's good with the budget. It's really good. Like I'm shit with numbers. You know what I mean? Tey's awesome. Like so, like it kind of works really well, and it was just it was a great time. Like just seeing all these old friends, a lot of them that don't even go out anymore.
And they came out for that.
Yeah, 100%. And it was just it was a good show. I had like good crew, and I was wrecked by the end of it. But I was so happy, and I even seeing all these people, I was just running, and I was gonna go. I didn't even get to hang out as much. I was like, hey, for like a minute, and then run off. Like I got to do this. But it was just good to know that so many people were there and had a great time. Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, to 10 years.
Yeah, man.
To 10 years. Blaine, you want to get up in this?
Yeah, I'll give one for 10 years for Twisted Audio. I was there too, boys.
You were there? Oh, yeah, true, you were.
Yeah, it was sick.
Yeah, it was a sick gig, man.
We're very, very happy. Yeah. It was kind of weird, almost like that was almost our last gig we had one more after that before COVID. So it was kind of like this big finale, But we're coming back. We got a gig in New Year's, like.
Oh yeah, and you guys you've been famed for your New Year's parties. You've always.
We haven't done that many New Year's anymore. I think we used to do a couple, but
I forgot they're called.
Tribe.
And Muska's involved in that as well.
Yeah. So Tribe kind of started as a New Year's Day thing, I think, but. Like that has dropped in the last few years and kind of changed. We've been doing the Dot with Jerry with Operatives and with Jimmy from Dark Rhythms. And that's not on New Year's anymore. That's kind of like early January. Because a lot of the artists are still around. So we kind of picked that instead of going up against a lot of the big New Year's Day festivals. A big thing for us is like we try to avoid clashing with people.
Yeah. That's a really important one.
Yep. Yeah. Like that's something that we always kind of... it's again, it just goes back to that sense of community and like collaboration. Like me and Tey, when we were planning gigs, it was really simple. We had like a Google Calendar, and we would go right, these people are putting this gig on there. We just try to avoid it. And at some point, I remember it just got really hectic, and there's a lot of crews putting on stuff. And me and Tey said like, how about we just share this calendar with everyone, so everyone can see it, everyone can sign up to this, everyone can see it. They can try to avoid
the Psytrance crew do that as well.
Yeah, awesome. Like we run it still, and we just any new promoter we see, we kind of go, hey, do you want to jump on this? It'll kind of help you not clash. We'll put your events on there when you got it. It helps everyone. At the end of the day,
it's a funny thing of like I'm in one at the moment, and it's starting to kick up again, and I haven't put on parties in let's say years, even before COVID, and but I still like to be on it because I like to know what's going on. I always have to know what's going on, and then it's this weird thing of also like, I know where the party's at always.
That's true.
You
this
know,
is true.
I like knowing where the next gig is because I'm like, oh yeah, Sham's doing a gig at Brown Alley, or Sham and Tey Evans. Shit, I'm gonna be there. It's about being in the know,
Yeah. I think for me it was the importance of it was like, I think collaborating and the community, man. It was just keeping everyone happy because with like, what happens if you have?
It gets political, man. It gets like,
not only that, but I think like on the punter level, if you have two competing gigs that are very similar on the same night, you're separating the community. And then especially with drum and bass, like, it's a tight community. They want to be together. They want to party together. They don't necessarily want to be separate.
Yeah. One guy was like, oh, but that headliner is coming to town. But I'm like, no, but I don't like that club. And it's like, well, yeah, I've been a victim to that in a sense of, as a punter, I've been a victim. It's like, fuck. I mean, even when that Maitreya fell apart, it's like you had Pitch, you had Babylon, you had
Esoteric.
It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like,
everyone fighting for the same weekend.
Luckily, they all sorted it out, kind of. I mean,
well, Pitch and Eso are still on the same weekend, but they're different parties.
They're different parties, and I like that Esoteric actually does encompass all the genres that make up. Like somehow drum and bass now fits into this doof culture, which I fucking love.
That's, man, big love to the Snake Pit crew, man. Like the Cam, man, Dylan, and Kent, and like Benny and Ren, all the crew, DL, like everyone there, Dan, like Daggy, Tane, like, man, they make it happen. Like at the last ESO in March, I made a point of it when they started my set to say to big them up in front of everyone because like the stage was amazing. It was like it levels up every year. It started being like a little marquee thing. We know like some kind of some decor around it, a bit of camo and stuff. And if you're there like this year in March, it was huge. It was huge. Absolutely huge. It was so pro.
It was literally a pit as well.
Yeah. And like I was blown away when I got there, and like I just made a point of it, man. Like these guys put it on. Like if like it's a privilege for us to go and play and share this music with everyone, but without them, like we can't do this. You know what I mean? Like they deserve so much like respect. Yeah.
Speaking of ESO, something also amazing happened this year. You you proposed to Dale, your now wife,
fiance. Well, we proposed, and I proposed, and 2 weeks after we went into lockdown. So the wedding hasn't happened yet. No.
Well, was there a date locked in?
The what?
A date for the wedding?
No. Like we proposed and it was 2 weeks, and we got into COVID. Like we're having an engagement party, like next month, because we haven't even got an engagement party.
So yeah, I mean, was that always your idea to do it then? To propose on stage in the middle of your set?
So I think October like last year, 2019. My mom was here. She came to Australia for the first time, and she was visiting, and like we were showing her around. We took her to Island Vibe Festival in Queensland.
You took your mom to Island?
Man, Island Vibe's a great festival.
It's a family.
It's a family event, and my mom loved it. She would go and do her own thing. She'd go to yoga in the morning, go see some bands, go to the beach. Anyway, at one night over there, I don't know, like it just felt like the right time. It just means Dale was sitting outside, like after everyone's kind of gone to bed or before they kind of came back from the party. And I don't know, it's kind of felt like the right time. And I said, I've decided that I want to marry you, basically. But I said, I'm not proposing because I don't have a ring, and this isn't, and I think you deserve a proper proposal. And she was really excited. But so she basically in October, she knew I was like, I want to propose. But I said it will happen. I will do this. And,
you set the intention.
Yeah, and then I think within a month, I kind of know like that's the moment. Esoteric, but why esoteric? It's like because our friends put on that stage. You know what I mean? They built it. Dale was there for like days before the festival.
She was also heavily involved.
It's like she works the stage music. She helps like do the decor. Like all our friends build the stage, and like those boys, they put me on the main one of the main spots on Saturday night. Like, and big ups to them. Like I love that. Anyway. So I knew that moment I'm going to have so many of our crew there, you know what I mean? So it's something that I just wanted to share with them. And, and I knew Dale was going to be so excited about that. So that was the plan for a long time, and I wasn't really 100% sure how to like get her onto the stage, because I was like, how am I gonna get her? Like, if she's gonna be on the crowd, I'm gonna pull her up. What's gonna happen? And I knew she was gonna work there. So initially, my idea that ended up changing. But my idea was to kind of go, maybe I can get Benny to tell her to stage manage for me, and then I can pretend that take the music out and go, oh, there's something wrong. I need the stage manager. Call her up on stage and go and then do it. But then I had the other ingenious idea of saying, how about I just get her to come and perform a song at the end of the set?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? To sing. And that's something that it kind of worked well with my set as well, because I've been trying, with more and more sets to kind of, instead of finish with a bang, kind of finish with something that's kind of like nice and soothing, and kind of like brings everyone together. And that's kind of like her style, you know what I mean? Like more soulful, basically.
Yeah, bring everyone into a cuddle puddle.
Yeah, pretty much. And kind of like, finish this journey nice together. So yeah, I picked this song and I was like, that fits really well within my set. And I played it to her. I was like, today, and I said like, would you like to come and sing on the end of the set? She's like, yeah, of course. And I made her like, because in my head, I again being super robot prepared Shem, I kind of knew that I wanted her to come in on this part, and I wanted to make sure that she finishes on this particular part, because this is the part where I'm going to propose.
Yeah.
So I made her at home before the festival. I was like, oh, let's just run through it one more time, sort of thing, and she was like, no, I'll be fine, babe. I was like, no, just, you don't understand, like we just have to run through it again, and like she was getting a bit annoyed with me. I was like, nah, it's like, it was fine at the end. And yeah, I just called her up on stage, and I think she had a kind of a bit of a hunch that something was up, because I think a few people had a hunch, because I was like on edge the whole day. I was on edge because no one knew. No one knew.
You couldn't ruin it. You couldn't tell anyone, otherwise that ruined it.
No one knew. And the thing is, like, again, I planned this, so SO is in March, I planned this from November. So it's like 4 months already that I knew this was gonna happen. And Dan's like probably one of my closest friends, man. And like he was playing right after me with Tey, and he told me, I don't know, a month or something like that before the gig, is like, I'm gonna launch my new song, Vibe. I'm gonna like, that'll be the first thing we kick off with. I got this whole stage show happening. And he told me, he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna steal the show. I'm so sorry, bro. I didn't say anything. I was in my head. I was like, I'm so sorry, dude. Like, I'm gonna totally steal this. But I can't say anything because
mother, do not propose.
Yeah, I didn't, and I apologized after I did it. I was like, I'm so sorry, bro. He's like, dude, don't worry about it. But
he's like, fuck my song, man. That's huge, man.
But everyone kind of like said, like, how did how did no one know? Like, and Dan was like, how did I not know? I was like, Dan, you got the loudest mouth. Like, you wouldn't be able to keep a secret, man. Like,
you're the last person I'm gonna tell. Yeah.
You're a loud MC. Like, So no, I did that, and no one knew, and it was like a lot. It was very stressful, I guess, because I thought I would fuck it up. You know what I mean? Like I would stumble on my words, or I would fucking like trip on a cable and fall on stage or something, or I would like drop the ring, or I don't know. And and it was even stressful to like the moment I did it, because our friend was there and I wanted him to get a photo or something. And before it happened, I told him to come to. I didn't tell him why. I just said, you have to come to the end of set, take a photo. He's like, yeah, no worries. And then he never made it. And I was like, I'm getting to the end and I'm running around. I'm going, where's Jesse? Where the fuck is Jesse? Like, and like I'm shouting at Dan, go fucking find Jesse. And he's like, what the fuck's going on? Like, anyway, I ran out and I got my friend Daniela, and like lucky she was there and she like got a video for us. But yeah, I was stressing hardcore. Like I was stressing hardcore, man. yeah. But I did it.
You did it, man.
Yeah, and I'm very happy.
To love.
Yeah, to love, man.
To love.
Yeah, big shout out. Like, I mean, to Dale, man. Like, she's the best. Like, she's
a great person, man. I don't know her that well, but she's so welcoming,
She's and she's. We had this chat the other day, and we kind of said like, me and her are different. Like I'm very much a solutions person. You come to me with a problem, I'll do this, and she's like, if you come to her with a problem, she'll be like, what's wrong? Like she's a kind, loving person. So we're different in a way, and I love that. Like it fits really well. Like,
she'll emotionally hold space for you.
Yeah.
In a sense. Yeah.
And like I learned a lot from her, like a lot in that way, man. Like, maybe I teach her stuff as well, but I learned a lot from her in that space, you know what I mean? Like I've kind of taught myself to be very logical and, solution driven. Because, growing up, I wasn't a happy person. I was very depressed, and like it was very easy for my emotions to kind of drag me down. Like one little thing would happen and I would like feel like the world's collapsing. And I had to teach myself for years and years to kind of analyze stuff and clinically in a way, and just kind of go, all right, you're only upset for this little thing. What can you learn from it? Is that bad? Can we move on, sort of thing? And now my brain just does it. It just does it quickly. And that's, I guess it keeps me happy in a way. It also kind of, I guess, maybe limits me emotionally in a way. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, you do feel like you're repressing your emotion in a sense?
Maybe.
Because that can be a thing. You start to develop like a defense mechanism to not necessarily cover your trauma or that sort of depression, but it's a coping mechanism in a sense.
In a way, I think I kind of have a bit of a defense mechanism in that way, a little bit. Like, it's not that I feel like that I can't have these emotions, like I can't get sad or angry or anything. I do. That happens to everyone, but I get over it quickly. Like, I'm trying to stay positive all the time. I try to see the positive in things and what I can learn, how I can continue on. And I guess, you kind of, maybe I am kind of, what's the word, like limiting myself in like what I'm feeling, but I also, I don't know, I guess because it was really hitting me a lot hard in my early 20s and, my teens. And
Depression.
Yeah. And it's something that I like, one of the reasons I left Israel, man, was because I was in that state. And going into Australia was like, this is like, I'm starting a whole new life. No one knows me here. You know what I mean? I don't have a past. I only have is my present and the future. So it was like, that's what I wanted to create. And like, it sounds strange to people, like people who know me and probably listen to this, go, oh, Shem used to be very depressed. I'm like, yeah, no one knows that.
No wonder you listen to metal.
Man, metalheads, like, that's how they take their aggression out. Yeah, 100%, man.
It's cathartic music in a sense.
Yeah, it is.
Do you know what, if it's okay to ask, like that sort of source of depression, was it childhood trauma? Or?
No, it was, I had like, our family was good, my parents were like super happy together or anything like that, but they weren't like, there was no domestic violence or anything. They weren't a happy couple. But I don't think that was it. I think I had a very low self-esteem. Like,
I can relate to that, yeah.
Very low self-esteem, and I didn't like kind of find something to, help me with that. And, when everyone was kind of like, meeting girls and kind of, becoming popular and stuff like that, I was stuck. I just didn't know. I couldn't kind of
relate to it even. Right?
Yeah, it was very hard. I couldn't get past that barrier, and any little rejection or the thought of rejection was so overwhelming that I would just, I would just like spiral. And I started drinking at like 15, and like I wouldn't say, I remember like being on a park bench when I was like 15 or 16, like lying, like, because I had too much drink and my liver was hurting because I was like drinking so much, what I mean? And got into weed after that, and like just kind of did too much of that, and then, realized that I was escaping a lot of shit, basically, just using that as a mechanism to escape shit instead of facing stuff. And I realized that I was in a company that wasn't, it's not their fault, but it was
didn't bring the best out of you.
It was contributing to that as well. That I couldn't really get away. And so it was, I felt like I needed to do something, basically. And for me, the thing was to just, run away in a way, to kind of go, I can't do this here. I need to go. And I never felt like I belonged in Israel. Like, I went there, not last year, 2018, 2 years ago. I went there 2 years ago. And this is the first time I went there on my own for a while. I've always kind of gone with like a partner or a friend or something. And I was there, and my dad very quickly after a couple of days, he asked like, what's going on? And I was like, are you okay? And I said, I'm really depressed. Like, I don't like being here. It kind of brings me back to that state. It's kind of like I'm living here again. It's kind of like I'm this person that's not unhappy. Because when I go there with someone else, it's sort of like I bring Melbourne with me. It's all like I'm a tourist. I'm just here on a holiday. But when I'm there on my own, it's like, I'm speaking Hebrew again. Everyone looks at me. I look Israeli. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not a tourist. Like I don't go do the touristy stuff. When I'm there with like Tey and stuff, we go to like the Dead Sea and we go to do like all the touristy spots, and we kind of feel, yeah, it's a holiday. But when you go on there on your own, it's kind of like you're back home, and it's not home. I don't feel like it's home. I mean, this is home. I don't feel like Israel's home at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
Anyway, we went on a bit of a tangent.
No. Look, this is a very these are very important topics, and they are form some of the basis of how this show got formed.
Yeah, that's true.
And I too felt depressed in Bahrain. I luckily, I guess unlike you, I don't. When I go back there, I do feel a lot of love and connection, because I've come to terms with a lot of like stuff that I felt like I was running away from. I felt society was very closed off over there, and I just couldn't. But now society's so open, like like DJing and like parties. That it's like, I mean, Saudi Arabia just celebrated something called Middle Beast, which is like, I just found out about this 2 weeks ago on Instagram. Started following some Saudi Arabian DJs, and like full techno festival.
Wow.
Full lasers,
in
lighting,
Saudi Arabia.
massive
Cool.
production. Yeah, and a big part of that is because the guy, the future king of Saudi Arabia, is they call him MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, is I guess people would say he's sort of progressive in a sense that he's trying to open up the country and stuff like that. But then there's a lot of also, I don't want to get too political, especially with Saudi Arabia. I don't want to say anything about it. I want to find myself behind the sun. But yeah, there has been some questionable political things that have happened, and people that speak out against it, it's not good. But at the same time, it's like Saudi Arabia's. I think it's experiencing a transformation that's much needed, and I think a lot of the young Saudis are very excited. I guess I would imagine. I haven't talked to any much Saudis, but I can imagine that sort of like opening up of the country in terms of having even parties and like co-mingling with different sexes. You know what I mean? Like. And not in a sexual way, but just just like normal, the way we have co-eds, here. So it's a great time. But then you go to a place like Dubai. I mean, Dubai is like, it's metropolitan as fuck, man.
Yeah, that's been like that for ages. I had a schoolmate in SAE who was from Dubai, and he said like, he's kind of like surrounded by these these countries who appear kind of like hostile, but then everyone's like in Dubai, come to the beach,
Yeah. Man, I mean, just just this morning, there's this guy. I think he's an Israeli agent who works for like Iboga Records and like a bunch of the big labels. His name is Elihan, and he's in Dubai.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and part of it's because they've just finally made a like. Bahrain and Dubai.
That bogus agreement,
Yeah, which Jared Kushner...
God, don't even get me started.
The peace in the Middle East thing. It's like... I mean, it's great that we can all travel, now to Israel and Israelis can come.
There's good out of it. I agree. My point about it that I don't like... My point that I don't like about it is how they use it. It's like, we did this big thing. It's like, you didn't do anything. This is like countries that Israel are not at war with. To begin with, already have trade deals with. And so you just signed this bogus deal to kind of before the elections in America to make you look like you like done this big thing. You haven't.
To support the Trump administration.
Yeah, I mean, like it's welcome, don't get me wrong, but it's not anything that's like major, like at all. Like I spoke to my mom, it's like, that doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like,
there's still the problem, with Palestine and Israel.
And Lebanon and Syria. Like,
we have to solve these problems first. Like,
that's the countries that they're actually in war with.
Yeah. So how do we let's actually find a solution for all of us before we actually start making,
Like I said, I don't have an issue with the fact they've got the agreement. Is how they kind of use it as like, we did this big thing. No, you haven't. You haven't. Like it's not a big thing to the people on the ground. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's a strange one, definitely.
But now we can sit together, Bahrain and Israel.
Bahrain and Israel. That's it, man. I mean, and since I got into psytrance, like when I first got into it, I always like figured out, Israel is one of the epicenters of psytrance in the world. I think how the story goes, you had a lot of people who had to do their army service, and I don't know if they say they were probably traumatized by their experiences in the army, and so then they end up going to India and
Goa.
and to Goa, and then
yeah.
they, you know, hash and acid.
Not necessarily traumatized. I think they go there because Israelis like India because it's cheap. You know what I mean?
So
like,
there's nothing to do with that. I was
the
speaking,
side trends, maybe. Yeah. Maybe
or,
the side trends
or
as
the
well.
trauma, or like, you know.
I don't know. Maybe, you know.
Yeah.
I thought because, you know, it's cheap. Like there's weed everywhere. There's like the side trends. You know, there's a bunch of Israelis there. It kind of feels like a high school party.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
they like that. They like Thailand as well. Similar reasons. You know.
Yeah. I saw a documentary once. It was like, you know, something about a bunch of Israeli kids like had just come out of the army, and they just didn't want to be in the army. They didn't want to have anything to do with that, and then so they were sort of traumatized by what they'd had to go through in the training, and then what they had to see. They didn't necessarily.
Look, that could be. I shouldn't like disqualify that and say no. They just go to the cheap. Maybe there's something to what you're saying, man. The 100%. Like I thought, like the people that I knew who went there kind of went, you know, it's cheap and it's fun. Basically. Yeah. Basically.
There's an expression in Arabic. It's like "rakhis lagui." It's like cheap and strong. You know, it's like if it's cheap and it's good.
You got to think about it this way. All right. So when you're in the army in Israel, you're there for 3 years, and like you get paid fuck all. You get paid almost nothing, you know. So you go get out, and you can't, you know, you don't have any savings, you know, like barely. You don't have much money. So if you want to go on a big trip overseas, you're gonna go somewhere that, you know, is cheap. So you can go to Asia. Asia's cheap. Like you know, if you want to go somewhere like, you know, America or Australia or something, you're gonna have to save a lot of money.
You have to work straight away.
Yeah, because our money, the shekels, like, are not worth as much. You know, it's just what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, going back to the like sort of topic of depression and stuff like that, of you know, having to leave the Middle East for that reason, coming here. But it's funny how after a few years of just being here, even and being so immersed in the party scene for me, that some of that same sort of mental depression kind of came back, and I realized that, like, you know what, you can run all you want, but it's always going to be there until you actually sort of go to the root core of the problem and start to, you know, unpack and uncover and just like heal that trauma, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if it stems from trauma, 100%. 100%.
I think like generally as a consensus, like most, like, you know, depression and stuff like that, it has to come with like early childhood trauma and stuff like that. Otherwise,
it's hard for me to say, like, if I had, you know, what people say depression is in the illness, but I wasn't a happy person. You know what I mean? I would I had very low self-esteem, and like I wasn't feel like I was welcomed. Maybe there was like some, you know, I wasn't popular as a kid. You know what I mean? That's probably something that kind of stems from it. Again, it's, I don't know, maybe I am burying it down in some way and there's something deeper. But yeah, I kind of dealt with it in realizing, being able to kind of pick when I'm getting into that spiral, and just pick why am I getting what triggered it, analyze that and learn from it, and
avoid it.
And not necessarily avoid it, but kind of go, is it that bad? How can I deal with it? If it's already gone in the past and I can't do anything, what can I learn and move on?
Yeah. So you approach it in a sense, in a logical way, and you broke it down systematically.
100%. Yeah.
Did you feel like DJing saved you?
I feel like,
or it gave you an outlet?
I feel like DJing sort of made me a kind of the person I am, because it kind of gave me, I want to say, like, I don't want to say a purpose, but like it gave me something that to focus on. You know what I mean? I wanted to become good in this. I wanted to, like, this is something I still learn all the time. I'm still learning more and more about it, and I want to like continue to learn and continue to improve. And so it just gave me like a focus, and it kind of made me who I am in a way. Like like when I step behind the decks, like I'm a lot more confident. You know what I mean? It's all like a different persona. You kind of go and you just like got this mega confidence because I know I can play this instrument well. You know what I mean? And I can, and even there could be loads of people in front of me, I know that I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I'm not.
I absolutely know that feeling, and I used to say to myself, you know, I also have, I still to some point have like low self-esteem,
Yeah.
and people go, oh, that's really weird because you're very animated on stage and you're very, well, I'm like, but that's just a mask in a sense.
In a way, yeah.
In a way, but that's my sort of shield of armor, you know, like when I go up there, that's what I know how to do. And
Yeah.
this is my sort of my space, but out there you might be this like confident person and blah blah blah, blah, you know, however the fuck you are, but this is my baby.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This is
Yeah.
my you're my game. You know what I mean? And I love seeing other people like also, you know, experiencing that and or have it for them the same way, you know, because it makes it more relatable as well. Like even when you say that, I'm like, oh, I'm glad that you feel that way too, because it's exactly how it is sometimes for me.
Yeah, it definitely it helps me, and I guess that's why. Maybe that's a reason that like I want to kind of share it with people, and like that's why I'm happy to teach and you know do the workshops that I do and kind of like share it with people. Like it's you know in one part it's because I love the art form and I love the culture and I want to like do what I can to you know to push to you know to keep it going and kind of you know get more people involved just because I love the culture. But I guess in a way maybe because I want to you know help people get that feeling as well.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah. I've been confident and you know happy about it and something that gives them joy. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's removing their separation from their like you're giving people an outlet in a sense. You know, listen, if you don't know what to do, I'm gonna show you this little thing. You know, it's like this is a very good way to express yourself, and you know.
I think like my whole thing with like when I kind of approach people about teaching and about doing workshops and stuff is I kind of see like you know like when I was young and I would go to festivals or events I would kind of see the DJ in a way like he's controlling the crowd. It's like this kind of position of power in a way, you know what I mean? Like and it's something that you know just not just to kind of have that power, but it's something to kind of give you that confidence and like you say an outlet to kind of you know show the best side of yourself. So I like to help people do that as much as I can. The same when you know I want to book them for shows with Twisted Audio or anything like. If I see people who are really good at something but they're shy and they're like don't want to approach promoters or they don't want to like you know appear pushy or anything, I'm like I want to get them on and I like if I book them or I tell someone else you should book this person, you know what I mean? Because I want to help them, I guess, not just showcase their art, but I guess also support them as a person, be more confident and like you know be able to kind of excel in something that you're passionate about. Yeah.
That's very noble. But I know it's not that you try to be noble. It's just how you are as a person, and I relate to that as well because I feel the same way. You know,
I think like I said, coming up like you know especially when I was just getting to Melbourne, I didn't have that opportunity.
No, exactly, and now that you're in a position of power,
I will. You know, it's kind of. I didn't have that opportunity at the start. Like I said, I started putting on my own parties at Lupa and stuff. But I do want to shout out my mate Jimmy and Dougie because they actually gave me opportunity. Like I was bartending at the Night Owl, which is now, what's it called now? Sub Club in the city.
The Night Owl.
Do you know the Sub Club?
Oh yeah.
So that used to be the Night Owl. Yeah. So I used to bartend there. Anyway,
that's right.
And
you used to bartend there.
Yeah, I was a bartender. Yeah, I was a bartender, and they used to have like lots of drum and bass and dubstep parties, and like their sub bass who used to put parties there. They did like this big rave under the Westgate Bridge, and I remember talking to my mate Jimmy. He was from this other crew in Newgrounds, and I said,
not Jimmy Barber.
No, this is not the James, and I said like is there any spots like left on this? Like I would love to play. And he got me on. I think I did the last spot on one of the stages there, like 5 or 6 in the morning. And it went really well. And from there, like the week after, Dougie, or you know, the main man, him and Mark were the main guys at Subbase, bring me up and ask if I wanted to be on one of their gigs. And so I just want to say that they actually gave me the opportunity eventually. But like it was hard. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people don't do that and take a chance on you. And like I felt again, like I said this before, when I got to that position, then when I can do it to give other people, you have to pay it forward. That's what I feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you've gone to do some amazing things. And look, we are reaching the 2-hour mark here. But the one last thing that I did want to talk to you about is, from having your sort of big break is you've been, you mentioned this briefly at the start, as that you were part of Red Bull competitions and stuff like that. I mean that's a pretty fucking amazing thing in itself. And
I just entered, you know what I mean? I think for me it was amazing. The problem is like, all right, so with Red Bull's 3 style, for people that don't know, that competition, I think it started 2010, and it was in Australia in 2011 and 2012, but you couldn't enter. You had to be invited. You had to
that sucks.
I know. So basically you had to be a fairly known DJ in kind of the scene, and the people who were putting it on would invite you. I didn't know anyone at the time, and like I didn't get invited. I remember in 2012, my mate DJ Sizzle, big up to DJ Sizzle, man, he got invited to join the competition. And 3 weeks before, I remember he called me. He said, I don't know if I should do it. It's only 3 weeks. I was like, mate, you're fucking doing this. Like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
And he didn't. He ended up getting second. Anyway, my point is that like they didn't do it then for like years. The year after he did it, I was emailing all these people, how can I get in? Like he kind of gave me the contact, and I was like, all right, who do I speak to? And then they didn't do it for another 3 years. And then in 2016, they did it, and I didn't enter. And the stupid reason I didn't enter is because I went to enter, and on the form online, you had to have an Instagram account. And I didn't want to get an Instagram account. So I didn't enter. And they haven't had it in Australia since. And I've entered 3 years since, and they haven't had it in Australia. So I've basically like, if they don't have it in your country, the only way to apply to get in is there's 3 global wildcards. So they pick basically all the people who enter from countries where there's no finals, they pick 3. And I entered last year in 2019, and they still haven't announced the wildcards because of COVID. Wow. So no one knows.
No one knows.
But I mean, for me on a personal level, man, like I did it because it's something that I felt that I can do well, and it's something that I felt like will push myself. And every time that I have, and I felt like I pushed myself. And every time that I look at a set that I've done from the year before, because every time I'll kind of go into like, oh, what am I going to do? And I end up doing something, and I look at it the year after, and I'm like, that's really cool. Like that took a lot of work, and I didn't think that I could do it, but it actually ended up being cool, and people like it. So yeah, it's something that I guess helped me push myself,
forward.
Yeah. I want to do it again. Like, I mean, they didn't have it this year because of coronavirus. So
fucking
coronavirus. So I'll probably enter again when they do it, regardless what happens. Yep. But yeah, see what happens.
See what happens. Well, my man, look, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Today, there's no more. There's only one bottle there.
You can have that. I'm still looking for one.
Yes. Well, why don't we invite our main man into the shot? He
needs a beer, I think.
He needs a beer. Yeah. Why don't you say goodbye to the camera? We might as well wrap this up. Is there anything you want to say in terms of like what you have coming out promotionally, mixes, blah blah, any of that stuff, other than Elements is next weekend? And
got a few now that Melbourne and Australia is slowly opening up. Got Elements Festival. We're doing a New Year's Eve gig. Got Esoteric coming. I think what I've been trying to push, in the last couple of years is the workshops as well. So I've been doing this workshop called, it's not really a workshop, it's more like a group discussion.
Seminar, let's say.
Yeah. It's called The Art of DJing.
Oh, and, we didn't even talk about that.
That's all. I'll talk about it now. But but basically what I do is we have some special guests, and we invite people to kind of ask questions about what they see, about what they like about DJing, and teach them about a few of the tools that DJ use, and kind of like the different situations that DJ perform in, and just generally have a discussion about how me and some of the guests that I have, how we kind of approach sets and approach our career as DJs. And I guess the idea of it is to try and inspire some people to kind of take their art, if they're already DJs, to the next level, or if they want to get into it, kind of like, oh, this is what you can do, and kind of how to set yourself apart. And yeah, so basically I did it, I think 2 or 3 times now. I did it at Esoteric last year. I'm doing it at Esoteric again next year. I'm doing it at Earth Frequency up in Queensland.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something I'm kind of excited about. I never thought I would do that. Like, I've been teaching for a little bit. I've got students that I teach here and there, but like, I never thought I would do sort of like a workshop at a festival thing. It's always something that I'm kind of like, I never get to attend, but like, yeah, it's something that I'm actually kind of finding comfortable. People that have attended said that, you know, I do it really well.
You do it well, yeah, and
Yeah.
You they take a lot. They have a lot to take away from it. You know what I mean?
I guess it's something that helps, you know, feel confident. Like, it's something that I'm confident to speak about, to talk about, because I'm interested in, and I know, I guess, a bit about it.
Well, you've been a DJ for a very long time. You know, you've sort of passed that point where you've probably done more than 10,000 hours or whatever.
I'd say so. Yeah. I'm on it every day, man.
You practice every day, yeah.
Every day, like I think on average 3 or 4 hours a day. Yeah, on average.
Wow. You play the same. You'll scratch the same material, or you always try to do different stuff, or just like routines that you go.
It's a lot, man. Like, sometimes I'll spend some of that time, you know, mixing, kind of curating playlists especially if I've got gigs coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I'll practice, you know, different beat juggling patterns. I'll practice some different scratch moves. I'll go over some of my routines just so I'm kind of sharp and I, you know them again. Yeah, and then if I got any projects, like if I got to record cuts for people or anything like that, I'll do that as well. But generally, yeah, I'd kind of start and just warm up and do some scratches and juggles for maybe an hour and a half, and then I will practice my routines, which takes about an hour. And if I gotta like do some mixing, that's probably another hour as well. So yeah,
Props, man.
yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it. You know,
When it's a passion, it's like, you know, you just
yeah, and I think in a way you kind of have to have a routine for that if you want to make sure to actually make sure you do it. You know,
yeah.
Otherwise, it's hard. You know, it's easy for other stuff to kind of distract you. Whereas you gotta know this is the time. Gotta do this. That's it.
Yeah.
You know.
Over the years, I lost touch with that, and partially because lack of equipment. So the only time I'd have to practice was on stage. But now I'm kind of like, I'm hoarding this equipment again, and I've got the space, and I'm like, no, you know, the last week, I've just basically, you know, decks were set up there with the cameras, and it's like, even if it was like 40 minutes, it's just 40 minutes a day. It's like, just enough, you know, not on a tractor or anything like that, just like, you know, CDJs and stuff like that. But it feels good because it's like, you know what, I'm going back to when I first started DJing. I would come back from school and I would have my lunch, and the first thing I'd do is I'd just go straight into the bedroom. And you know, and just like, you know, that CDJ 400s, like, you know, switch them on the sides, and like, cool. And you start having a mix, but it's no turntablism, but it's still, you know, you're practicing every day.
It's your instrument, man. Regardless, I mean, whatever instrument it is, if you're playing guitar, if you're playing piano, whatever, like, I feel like you need to have that time for it. If you want to get good at anything, man, you got to spend the time. You have to spend the time.
I guess one for me, I've substituted DJing for producing music.
Yeah.
You know, and I do have to say, I have to give myself credit in that way. You know, it's like, okay, I might have stopped doing this, but producing is now like my new thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like you know, we all have other, you know, responsibilities as well. Obviously, you've got a family, and, you know, people have work, and we can't do everything. And I mean, like, I used to be one of those people who try to do everything, but you end up doing everything not well. You know what I mean? If you want to do stuff well, you gotta pick your stuff and gotta, you know, invest the time, basically.
Yeah.
What I find.
Well, man, thank you for your time.
No, thank you, man. It's been a pleasure. We've been talking about this for a while, so it's finally got to do this. Damn coronavirus.
Yeah, goddamn coronavirus. My man, thanks for bringing peace to the Middle East one step closer.
No, not me. It's Trump. Trump did it.
Yeah. God bless America and no place else. Yeah, and Jared Kushner, the old Kush.
God damn it.
On that note, my friend, I'll thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
We'll see this episode come out probably in the New Year's. So if you're listening to this, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Eid Mubarak, whatever you want to say. God bless America. Surreal Melbourne, over and out.
See you soon.